Hi, I'm Kelly Forshaw-Smith, Head Medical Trainer for the Finishing Touches Group and Director and Technician of Medicos London. And today we have
Emily Ponte.
Emily has been in the beauty industry for over 23 years, and in the last 8, she's focused mainly on permanent makeup. Emily has won and been a finalist in several industry awards, including 3rd place in the Micropigmentation UK Award, 2nd in the Safety and Beauty Awards, and more recently been nominated in the top 3 for the Most Supportive Artist in the PMU Circle Awards. Emily is known for her eyebrows and has developed her own trademark brow technique, the Brow Blend and the Powder Blend, which have both been launched in 2020. These techniques have been developed into educating webinars for PMU artists to advance their skills. In addition, Emily's lip technique has also proven popular, so much so that Emily has been asked to provide a lip module for the PMU Circle. She's also developed her lip technique, which follows in her Lip Blend series. Emily has launched into a collaboration with the very talented artist, Paula McDonald, for their eyebrow collaboration masterclass for 2021. So Emily provides one-to-one treatments and training for her beautiful clinic in Hertfordshire, which was featured in the PBL magazine for Design Inspirational Clinics. Wow, that's great. So you've been keeping very busy. So Emily's topic today is surviving lockdown. So welcome, Emily.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming on. So how have you been surviving lockdown?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably similar to many people. I think, it's been tough. I think, we're trying to put a brave face on. It's a real, we've never been through anything like this before. But I think the key for me is just trying to stay positive as much as I can, and just trying to sort of adapt to the situation. We can't really change it. It's out of our control. So I guess surviving lockdown is about trying to focus on the things that you can control.
Yeah.
Whether it's business or personal.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that this lockdown in particular, I found it quite hard, more so than the last time. I mean, I'm assuming maybe something about it could be the weather for a start.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's been harder this time?
I think a lot of it has to do, the weather definitely. Some people even suffer from that sad, don't they, where even in the winter it is, exactly. I think we all do to some extent. So the weather hasn't played a good part, because I think with the first lockdown, let's face it, we had a really good summer in the first lockdown as well. So we could go outside, even if you didn't have a garden, you could just sort of kind of go out with the kids, if you've got kids, and really then make the most of it. And I also think the first lockdown, it was almost like a bit of a novelty. Not a great novelty, but it was kind of a novelty. And I think almost we all work hard. And I think it was almost, I'll have a couple of months off. That's all right. I can cope with that. Maybe have a little bit in the bank to see me through 1 or 2 months. But this time, obviously, and I think also, throughout the first lockdown, we almost we felt like we had an end in sight. We thought, get the summer over and then school will hit and it will be over.
Yeah.
This time we've gone into 2021 and we still don't have an end in sight. We kind of do a little bit maybe with the vaccine, but it's a hard, there's people on the cusp of losing their businesses now. This has kind of got serious now. So I think that's why it's so much harder, because it's just gone like a year, it's gone on too long now.
I think also, we're looking at all the high streets, and I don't know about your high street where you are, but my high street for definitely, it's like a ghost town. Like when we were allowed to go back out, so many places closing down, and it just puts a little, like a dark cloud over the head.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard, and I think also just you can cope maybe for a month for not seeing some of your family. Sometimes it's a good thing, but actually when it's coming up to a year and you can't even hug your mum and dad or whatever, that's crazy. That's where we're at the end of our tether now, I think. So we just
definitely. So what could we give to let's be positive, and what can we give to maximize our business during this lockdown?
I think the key thing for me is adapting. So we could sort of spend a couple of days in bed and kind of wallow and just think, right, okay, this is all over, or we could put a positive spin on it. Get up, make your bed. It's always a good thing to do. Start the day as you mean to go on. And I think just kind of writing down a list of goals, you know, for me, I had a kind of a lot of goals regarding kind of training and just where I want my business to be, and putting processes in place. Like, I want to get to a point where I'm coming back into my business.
Yeah. All
these lockdowns are over and I'm just more efficient and more productive. So I think when it comes to sort of your business, I think it's good to, I think the key is to work on your business and not just in your business. And I think to some extent, this sort of pandemic, this lockdown has made me focus a bit more on my business, which I guess can only be a good thing. That's a positive thing. That's sort of.
Do you have any tips of what we can do?
Again, I think it is adapting. So I think, you know, people have a lot more time on their hands. They're on social media a lot, or they're wanting to upskill. I've kind of gone down the webinar route. Luckily, I actually filmed a webinar before the first lockdown hit, so I was in a good position with that. But it's, you know, for me, I put a lot of processes in place. So I'm quite old school. I'm kind of a diary with a pen, you know, for my appointments. I have been for years, up until 2020. And I thought, I've got to go online. I've got to sort that out. And I am a one-man band. I don't even have a PA yet. Yeah. So for me, it's having the time, you know, working on clients every day, which is what I love. I'm a doer. I love to do my treatments. When it came to the sort of business side, you know, that was kind of at the kind of background. So I guess these lockdowns have kind of helped me work on my business, get my processes in place. So I signed up with a over to you system, which was great because I managed to go online. I got all my appointments online, got my website sorted. Wow. And actually going online was great because I've always been I'm a bit of a control freak. So when it comes to appointments, I want to sort of book them in myself. Those days are gone because, I mean, throughout this lockdown, it was quite nice that I had clients that would actually book online. And even throughout the lockdowns, I still had some of these loyal clients still booking for a few months ahead. And for every booking, I get a 20% booking fee. So throughout the lockdown, I was getting a little bit of money injection from these booking fees, which was actually quite good for my business to kind of keep it ticking over. So yeah, that's what I would say is just sort of, you know, think about your goals, think about what you do need to do to be more efficient when you go back. For me, it was definitely online systems and kind of putting the processes in place.
So you mentioned the webinar. So obviously, I know that you've got webinars out there. How do you find a good webinar? Like if somebody's sitting down thinking, there's so many webinars at the moment, which webinar am I going to go for? Any tips to finding that?
So I definitely think 2020 was the launch of the webinars. There seems to be, there's a lot out there. But again, I think it's these people that I think they've kind of adapted to the situation. So some people, obviously, who are trainers anyway, so what do you do? We can't be in person with people. So let's just adapt that. And I think, you know, I think to find a good webinar, I think you have to, I think you've got to focus on the person that's doing these webinars. So is it an artist that you aspire to? Is it an artist that, you know, you look at their work and you're like, I love that work, I want to do work like that. So if you're looking at that, then, you know, that's a good reason to sort of choose someone. But I just think we never stop learning. And I think you know, there's so many amazing talented artists out there, and everyone brings something to the table and everyone brings something different. You know, obviously if money is an issue, then, you know, get them all, because you pick up something from someone. But I definitely think, you know, you want to look at their work, you want to like what they do, and potentially achieve that yourself. So you want to learn from them. I think that's kind of the best way.
Also, like the whole thing with being in lockdown, this is what I found as well, is the pigment situation. Because obviously pigments, once they're opened, they do have an expiry date. So what I ended up doing with mine, just personally, is because obviously I couldn't treat the clients at the time and so on, is I actually use them for the practice. So, I mean, some of my eyebrow practices are with an areola colour, because that was the ones that I had open, which had the nearest expiry date. So I just used all of those up. I actually even used, very randomly, I got some of the colours out, and then I used a piece of paper and I actually painted with them.
Oh, wow.
And you can dilute them as well, and it gives you, I mean, okay, it's not on skin, but it gave a really nice idea of this sort of colour, and all of a sudden I was seeing all these colours in a different way.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I've done quite a lot of, I think a lot of people are doing these, like the drawdowns as well. So not necessarily doing a painting, but just kind of, yeah. I think again, it's adapting, isn't it? And you're absolutely right with these pigments. You kind of think there's a certain shelf life. So rather than just throwing them in the bin, what can you do with them? I mean, what I did with my lip pigments is I put them into I've seen a few people do it, but I've put them into lip gloss tubes with clear lip gloss, with actually clear lip gloss. So not just water, but clear lip gloss, stirred it round, and then I've got like just disposable lip gloss wands.
Yeah.
And you can actually put that on your client's lips to show them almost that kind of undertone, how they kind of heal, because obviously it's going to be a lot more sheer.
Yeah, I think I saw Claire Quay do that. Yeah, that's a great tip. I saw Claire Quay do that.
Yes. Do you know what? Yeah, absolutely. So she gave me the idea of the lip gloss. So that's Claire's idea. But I have seen a few people do different variations. Obviously, you can put, in perfume bottles where you put the water, so you can kind of see, sort of undertones and things. But so there's lots of different options. But I thought, well, yeah, we might as well maximise a bit of the time.
Yeah. Also, the fake skin as well is obviously, there's all different types of the fake skins that you can get. I was using the fake skin, but I was actually using both sides. Because sometimes people just use one side, they use the more matte side, but actually using the other side gives you a different texture of skin and gives you more to play with, I guess.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. You want to, again, when money's tight as well, you just want to kind of maximise what you have without having to try and spend sort of more pennies, really. So
also, I was sectioning mine off as well with rulers so that I wasn't going above it, so I wasn't using too much, and then literally just keeping to where I was going.
I mean, I do have some latex, and you kind of think, you do a brow and you're like, oh, I've got loads of wasted space, and then you're like, I don't really do much with the rest.
Even if you take those little offcuts that after you've done the eyebrow, take the offcuts and actually just practice maybe your pointillism or your whip shading, whatever it might be on them. Also, another thing, I don't know if you've done it, but my fruit bowl is full of eyebrows and areolas.
Oh yes. It's I mean, yeah, absolutely. The key is definitely practicing. So you might as well. I mean, it's a shame we can't really practice on children, really, isn't it?
Yes. I didn't think you could. You should see my children. Whoop.
Yeah. I'm yet to do that. Actually, I might have to sort of give it a go. My 4-year-old daughter is always loves to kind of.
You're talking about drawing in, I'm hoping, rather than tattooing them.
Oh yeah. It's a shame we can't tattoo them, because that would be real practice, but no. I've seen a few people tattooing their husband's legs and things like that, so I don't think
I think I might be divorced by the end of lockdown if I did that.
Absolutely.
Good on them for doing it though. So also message, what is the process of business throughout the pandemic? What way can we look at it? Other tips of looking at your business, working out. You mentioned before about online stuff, obviously, and doing things maybe that you're not used to. So what I should be doing, I'm rubbish, is social media. I can just about turn on a computer before lockdown. So I have developed, I have progressed, but things like Instagram, I can't work. There are online, as well as webinars and YouTube clips and stuff. You can learn how to use the things that you fear, I think is the word.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose there's pros and cons to the social media side. I think definitely with business, I mean, let's face it, we need it, don't we? Even though like Facebook is getting worse, isn't it? People getting banned left, right and centre. But I think, we need it as a business. I think if I didn't have a business, I would probably not be on it much. So it's kind of a shame that we kind of have to rely on it, but we just have to, again, we have to kind of adapt. But then there's the negative side where I think people have I think with this lockdown, people have almost focused too much on social media because there's too much time on your hands. When you're working in your clinic, you don't have time to go on social media all the time. So I think it's just making that time productive. So if you're going to be on social media, create some educational posts or whatever for your clients or students, and try and focus a bit more on that, and then come off it, rather than scrolling through all the negative, all the conspiracy theories, all the things that go with social media. I think that can obviously play havoc with people's minds, and I think that hasn't helped as well.
Yeah, I think definitely as well. I mean, I know I'm guilty of it, but like at night time when I'm sat in bed, you need to turn off your phone. Number one, that light, obviously, that shines through, and you can change the settings, I believe, on some phones so that it's more of a blue light, so it's not as bad. But like just before you go to bed, turn off your phone. let the day go, maybe listen to something, I don't know, something a bit more meditating, or
we shouldn't even bring our phones upstairs. I think
yeah.
to some extent, you know, back in the day, we didn't have, you know, I mean, I got kind of my parents and in-laws and stuff, they don't even bring their phones upstairs. They just have them downstairs and use them as a phone, you know, whereas we're there at night time.
Yeah. I have to say, it's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. You know, I actually have to speak to my husband nowadays. When I wake up in the morning, I look on my phone. It's the first thing I do. Number one, for time, but I also do it just to say, oh, who's messaged me tonight? Which again is not a healthy way to be.
It's not really, but let's face it, we're all doing it, and I think even more so at the moment. So I think it's just a fine line, isn't it? It's just trying to just trying to kind of, you know, limit it, and if you're going to be on it, be a little bit more productive. Or if you're going to read stuff and scroll through stuff, look at things that can maybe help you, so whether it be educational or just like a meditation or something where you can actually just kind of.
I also think, like, I was looking through some different forums and stuff, and there was one forum, I won't mention which one it is, it's not in this country, and I was looking at, and geez, were they mean to each other. And I just thought, it's totally uncalled for. You know, that whole thing of be kind. It doesn't take much to be kind. If you don't like something, jog on, like swipe past, look at something else. We need to raise each other's crowns for each other, not put each other down.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's lots of posts that you see that sometimes you think, oh, you know, but you just scroll past, don't you? You don't have, you know, if you've got nothing nice to say, just don't say it, or just make it constructive. And, you know, if the people are posting things on the forums for constructive feedback because they want to learn, then be that person that helps to kind of boost them and give them a solution, you know, rather than knocking them down.
And talking of team players, I know that you did at the beginning of the last lockdown, you put together for our industry bits and pieces of protocols of what to do when we're back in the clinic. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a bit crazy. That kind of fell into that, really. I mean, I suppose, we're all creative, aren't we, in this industry? So I'm a little bit creative in the sense of kind of just, you know, doing posters and things like that. And I think just when it all came about, obviously with this pandemic, and then it was just, right, we need to start making our clinics COVID secure. You know, when we come back, you know, when are we going to go back? We need to, you know, get all these things in place, and the government saying you need these sort of posters, this and that. So I just designed my own. I just started designing all sorts of things. I've actually got one here. So just, you know, things like that with just all the protocols in place, and, you know, just kind of risk assessed, you know, lots of different posters. And I kind of did them for myself. I think I posted them in a couple of groups and just had a couple of people say, oh, where'd you get those? You know, and I was like, well, I kind of did it. So it just stemmed from me doing it for my own clinic to suddenly I was kind of inundated with messages saying, can you do it for me? So I decided to, I did them in all different colours, different designs. And then I also created bespoke ones where I put people's logos on it as well. And yeah, it just kind of, but in a way that was me adapting to the situation. And, you know, that was a little bit of it, you know, it wasn't major, but it was a little bit of extra income for me. Wasn't working, which was great, but I didn't charge crazy amounts because, you know, it was also about helping people as well. And I think people are panicking, like, well, how do you get COVID secure? What do you do? I think the key is, you know, you need to risk assess, and obviously you've got your risk assessments for your clinics anyway, but it is then adapting one for COVID. And just as long as you're kind of following all those processes, and the posters were just an addition really, and it just saved people the time to do it themselves, I guess.
What are the protocols or the risk assessment for a clinic, for your own salon?
Well, there's not, you know, I suppose it does depend on whether you have people working there or not. I mean, I don't have anyone working for me, but I've got 3 rooms, so I've got a couple of people renting rooms. So I think, you know, just normal risk assessments like, you know, fire, making sure you're up to date with all your kind of fire alarms and fire extinguishers, making sure, you know, you're not leaving wax pots on, you know, all that kind of standard stuff for safety, really. I mean, that's what risk assessment is. It's all about safety. But I think with the COVID, there was just that extra element of, you know, implementing like your hand washing procedures and hand sanitizer, and cleaning regularly. I mean, we clean anyway, but I think obviously it just got stepped up. And not.
You know, with the hand washing thing. So my kids constantly they're like, you have to do it to Baby Shark, Mommy. I'm like, I need something else. How long does it have? Should you be washing your hands for?
Well, they say about 20 seconds, don't they? So my daughter's got a song called Wash Your Hands, 1, 2. So she was learning that at her preschool. So sometimes I have that in my head now when I wash my hands. But yeah, I think it's roughly about 20 seconds. So yeah, just having those processes in place, and obviously for the clinic, it's important. The thing with our industry, and I think this is where it frustrated a lot of people, was that we are pretty COVID secure anyway. Yeah. So luckily for us, we didn't actually have to do much, with regards to, we have our kind of masks and just, obviously with all the sharps bins and the, clinical waste and all that type of thing. So we're already following a lot anyway. But it was just sort of adapting it and just making sure that, I think also from a client's point of view, just that they just feel secure that you are taking it seriously and they're going to be safe when they walk into your environment.
Because when I had the clients in between, obviously the lockdowns, I was sending them a text message before, just confirming obviously their appointment, but also with the whole thing in it, if you don't feel well, please don't come. If you've been around anyone knowingly who's got COVID. And also I've got one of those, the radar-y, bing, bing, where you take the temperature. I love that. I might keep that anyway. After COVID's all gone, I'm going to keep it anyway. And that was good. So when they come into the clinic, I was testing them there. There's even extremes, isn't there, where you've got it's almost like an air conditioning unit which sprinkles.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got one of those units actually. I know some people were getting those in place as well. I suppose it maybe depends on the environment you're in. But yeah, bringing back to those kind of contacting the client prior to appointment, that brings me back to the online system that I have, because I created a COVID form, so a separate form, and every time someone books an appointment, 3 days before they were due, I mean, you could set it for whatever time, 3 days before they were due in, this COVID form got sent to them. They fill it out online and it automatically got sent back to me. So then I'd read the form, and there'd be a couple of people saying, yeah, I've had COVID or blah, blah, blah. And then you just know before they've walked through the door, if they've had it, if they haven't, and if they're not, if they need to isolate or whatever. So that was quite good from a point of view of making sure that anyone walks through the door, because there's no point in walking through the door and say, well, actually I had COVID a few days ago, because they're already in your clinic. So
So just making sure, just doing all the stuff prior as well. So what are the things there's obviously making sure you're not mixing with anyone, maybe not bringing so many people, don't bring people with you if you don't have to.
Absolutely. So I have a strict protocol now that they don't come with anyone. So I mean, obviously we don't have children in our establishment anyway, but sometimes people, I mean, I've got families, I do their grandmothers, their mothers and their daughters, and sometimes they all come together. I've had people, it depends on the room you have, but I've had 4 people in my room, like 4 sisters, and they've all sat there watching each other having a, and it's fine because we have a chat, and I don't mind that. I know some people don't like having people in the room because they don't like it. It's never bothered me, but obviously now it's more from a safety point of view.
And also things like bringing their own water bottle if they need a drink. Things like ideally, if they could go into the toilet before they come. I mean, obviously if they've travelled, but hopefully they wouldn't be travelling too far. What other things are there that we can think of? What else is on your little sheet?
My little sheet, just making sure that when they're coming through the door that they are washing their hands, or at least hand sanitizer. I mean, it's hard because we kind of say wash hands, but then you go into like shops and things like that, don't you? And it's just hand sanitizer. But I think one or the other, if not both. I mean, at the time I was kind of quite strict and sort of getting them to wash their hands as well as a hand sanitizer. And just trying to limit. I mean, what I was doing as well, rather than people waiting, so I have a little waiting area, but again, I didn't want to have that kind of overlap. So what I did do as well, okay, maybe you might not earn so much money in that day, but I spaced out my appointments a little bit more, because you don't want someone ringing on the bell while you're still with someone and then they're crossing paths. I've got quite a narrow corridor. That's the last thing you want. So it's just managing that. So making sure that, when they turned up, I sort of had a bit of a protocol, was kind of text me when you've arrived, if you're sitting in your car or whatever. It's so kind of impersonal a little bit, isn't it? But we had to just adapt to that. And all the clients, if anything, I think, again, having these processes in place, the clients didn't mind it. All they cared was that they were coming to have their eyebrows done or whatever. And they were quite happy. And it actually it just proved that I'm not just blasé about it. I am taking it seriously, and their health and safety is obviously paramount. So
yeah, no, 100%. Like you said, it makes them feel secure when they're coming to somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So also, how can we turn a negative into a positive? Like, when at the moment when we get into the stage where we just wake up and think, oh, it's another day. Here we go. It's Groundhog Day. I'm doing the same thing again. So you mentioned about waking up in the morning and making the bed.
Yeah, I just think it's easy to kind of just get into that sort of negative state and really finding it hard to shake out of it. I guess everyone has their different circumstances. Someone's on their own. They don't have kids to get up for. That's got to be hard, and I do feel for people. But we are our own worst enemy. Our mind is our own worst enemy, and I think we just have to get to a point where you snap out of it, you think positive, and you just start the day. Like, I just find writing a list of like your goals, even if it's just, like the other day I thought, I really need to clean out this cupboard. I've got so much rubbish in this cupboard, and I walk past it every day thinking, I need to get this sorted. I took it all out, I sorted it out, and do you know what? For the rest of the day, I felt like, oh, I've kind of achieved that. I've cleaned the cupboard, but I just felt organised, you know. So I think you just have to try and, like I say, your mind can be your own worst enemy, and I think you just need to try and put a positive spin on it as much as you can, and write a list of what you want to achieve, and just maybe every day or every other day, just try and tick something off that list. Even if it is just like from a personal point of view. Like for me, personally, I just decided I just want to get fit and healthy. Like, it's kind of working so much on my business and the kids and this and that. You just get lethargic, you get kind of tired, and then, you just become a bit negative. And actually, I've kind of recently started doing some PT, like outdoor PT outside. And already, like, my mind just seems clearer. And it's amazing what that exercise has sort of done for me. So from a personal note, that's now made me feel more confident. Therefore, it's kind of made me more positive. So yeah, there's lots.
I think also little things like food as well, because you kind of think, oh, it's cold, it's winter, I'm gonna but maybe make something delicious to eat that that you're really proud of. I found that personally, I've loved cooking during lockdown. I liked it anyway, and now lockdown happened, and I like to, the same probably as yourself and other people, is we like to give. When we do the eyebrows, we like they're amazing, they're wonderful. You like to please people with your art or your talent. So in which case, like when my husband was getting it, I was like, I've done 3-course dinner, and you'd be like, oh, this is delicious. And it was that kind of boost that I needed of him to say how nice something I've done was.
Don't you? Because it's kind of usually the delicious meals are the ones that pile on.
It's either got cheese or chocolate on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm a feeder. I'm like my mum. Given the opportunity, I'd sort of cook for everyone as well. So I do get that. I get that definitely.
Also, I was given a tip by Vicky Martin, which I do, which I really liked, which was in the morning, set your alarm if you have an alarm. Set your alarm, and the alarm goes off, and on your screen is a word or something that boosts you up and gives you a little bit of an extra saying. I don't know. She was like, oh, do it, you're amazing, or do whatever you want to hear. And I do the same thing as well. I do it with my children, but I started doing it with myself. Very silly, and nobody probably does it either. But at night time, I have to do them 5 words that describe how I feel about them or what they are. So like last night, amazing, brilliant, wonderful, kind, considerate, and so on. And then they have to do it back to me. I normally just get mummy, and then mummy again. But like, I've done it to myself now. And I'm thinking of words of like, try hard, or, and then I go to bed on that. And so when I wake up in the morning, I'm not perfect every morning in any shape, way or form, but it definitely does give me that little oomph.
I'm going to try that.
Do it.
Try that, definitely. And that's the thing, like it's hard on our kids as well, isn't it? I think they're so resilient, but it's got to be hard on their little brains to sort of kind of get around this really. But I think they've adapted really well, to be honest.
If I have to make some more banana breads, I'm actually going to shoot myself. So I'm trying to look for other avenues of where I can go.
Yeah, but you're the at-home queen of teaching, aren't you? You
the homeschool learner.
You were definitely on it on lockdown, first lockdown for sure.
Yeah, this one I just can't be bothered. No, I'm joking. No. Still doing it all, but it's just keeping positive. So look, just to sum up and to finish off, can you give me 3 tips for somebody out there who's feeling a little bit down, a little bit negative with all of this lockdown?
Okay, so I think, so just just taking care of yourself. So, flip that negative into so think positive, wake up, start the day as you mean to go on, and actually just take care of yourself. Like, you might have kids and things like that, but you have to take care of yourself as well. And I think that's where I kind of faltered before, is, I'm a giver, and it's making sure everyone else is okay. But I think, first and foremost, you need to make sure you're okay, so then you can take care of everyone else. So I think that's the first thing, really. It's just sort of a bit of self-love, I guess, self-care. The second thing is, I think not taking things for granted. I think we've been in a situation now where I think we will not take so many things for granted now. Just simple as going for a drink with a friend, or just hugging your mum or dad, or whatever. That I think that's one of the key things, really. So that's, I think, a good positive thing to come out of it, in the sense of, if there's any positive to come out of this, it's definitely that I think we've learned to not take things for granted, and then just I suppose just prioritizing things, really. I think personally or business, just setting those goals. We've had a bit of time to sort of think and kind of really digest things, and I think where we can't control this virus, we can help, obviously, trying to keep safe, but it's a bit out of our control. So I think just focusing on the things that you can control, and there's lots that we can control. The first one is, like I say, taking care of yourself, really.
No, definitely. I think also it's good to talk. So if you're on your own, you haven't seen like anybody for ages, everyone's in so many different situations, but get on the phone, talk to someone, or do it the other way around. If you think someone, gosh, they're on their own, or I wonder how they are, pick up the phone, contact them, speak to them, FaceTime them, maybe go outside for a walk if you're allowed to, for however long you're allowed to. Also, my favorite tip, and I do this every day as well, because it definitely makes me feel better, is I choose a song of the day that I love, that has some kind of meaning to me. And if I'm doing boring things like cleaning and all the rest, then I put it on. I had Alana Morissette on yesterday. I love
Alana Morissette.
Yeah, by the end of it, I was like, woo!
Yeah, see, I would be bringing back, because we're probably similar age, so I can imagine we're kind of back.
But get those tunes on, get them into your head, start being positive. This has been absolutely amazing, Emily. I've really, really, really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope it's helped somebody out there who's maybe feeling a little bit down with the lockdown. We will get through it. We've done it once. We're going to do it again.
Positive thinking.
Exactly. Exactly. Emily, thank you so much for talking to me, and we'll go from there. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye. Yay! Oh,
you done it?